Okay, you're gonna let me do this interview.
Get that mic?
When is the last time you got interviewed?
Putting? Surprise!
Okay. Is recording.
You can cut that out if you if that's a little tender for him.
Oh, I got a story about that. That's for sure.
Yeah. So.
So I don't know, man. Hope confidence comes. Here you go.
What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. We just got back from the Creators Cup up in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was an absolutely amazing week. Every single one of the creators that was there I've talked to in the past via messaging, but getting to be in the room with them and eat meals together was so much fun. Now, there were several takeaways I had from my time with all of those creators. The first is that they are genuinely amazing people. On YouTube, like in social media, we all have the opportunity to put our best foot forward, and I was super grateful to see that each of the people that you see in front of the camera is the exact same behind the camera. The second was that we spent a lot of time playing disc golf, and because we're disc golfers just like every single one of you, it brought up a very important point that I thought was worth making a video about, and that is talking about strengths and weaknesses of your game. No matter if you started playing a couple months ago or you've been playing for 10 to 15 years, every single person has things that they're good at in disc golf, and they also have areas that they struggle in. These creators that you're watching in front of the camera are no different. They are going through the struggles of trying to fix and change certain things in their form, and it's certainly not easy to do so. So I asked several channels to get super vulnerable and share what they're struggling with in their disc golf game and talk about their journey to trying to fix it. The hope is that if you find yourself in a similar place of struggle, know that you're not alone. And even some of the names in our sport that we spend every day connecting with and watching their videos also walk through those same struggles. Nobody has a perfect game, not even Paul McBeth or Paige Pierce. But before we dive into that, I want to talk about the third thing that was super cool in connecting with all these content creators, and that was our appreciation of you. There was not a single person there who was used to the fact that there are so many of you who are willing to watch and support us every single week. It absolutely makes our day to get out and interact with every single one of you. If it wasn't for you watching and being willing to support us, we wouldn't have the opportunity to make videos, much less head off to events like the Creators Cup. So I want to take a quick moment to talk about today's video sponsor, Flightowel. The more that I've talked and connected with Amanda and Scott over at Flightowel, the more I just want to support them every single way that I can. Not only do they make one of the best towels on the market that I don't play around without, they've created a super unique warm-up tool that lets you practice your swing and your stroke regardless of the weather conditions, and it creates a really cool opportunity for you to warm up without overexerting your arm, even if you don't have a ton of space to just let a bunch of shots rip. Every time you head to the Flightowel website and use code 128799, it supports what Flightowel is doing, and it directly supports what we're doing here on the Robbie C channel. Whenever I see a Robbie C Flightowel Junior or Mini out there on the course, it just continues to blow me away that y'all are willing to support in that fashion. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity. Your support allows me to use my full time to try to inject as much positive energy into this sport as I possibly can. But I'm certainly not the only one doing this, so let's jump in and talk to some of the other creators about their game and see if we can relate.
I would say my biggest strength in disc golf is scrambling and throwing really touchy sidearm anhyzer shots. Scrambling for me was difficult for a while because it's hard to rebound from a bad shot. A lot of times if you're scrambling, it means that you threw a bad shot. After a bad shot, you make some of your greatest shots, which can be really encouraging. Just practicing scrambling was really good for me, and I think that that is definitely one of my strengths in disc golf. And then one of my weaknesses for a long time was committing to shots, not only with follow-throughs with my arms and my body, following through with my legs, and really committing to shots. I just worked on it a lot and almost exaggerated it until I could figure out how to improve. And one thing that I've done that the most is with my approach shots from about 100 to 150 feet with putters, really exaggerating a follow-through, and it's made me a lot more accurate after making myself commit to shots.
The biggest strength of my game is obviously
Have you thought this through?
Timmy, let me do my interview. It's distance with like low speed discs. Maybe that's it. How's that sound good?
That's
Biggest weakness of my game is confidence. I don't have hardly any confidence in my game, and I think it's because usually when I play, I just have fun. And what I've done to change that is absolutely nothing, because I'm not gonna lie, I just like having fun. So I feel like at the end of the day, like if I'm not having fun, then I'm not playing the sport, you know what I'm saying?
I always thought that a strength for me was my putting, but in tournament I feel like that kind of switches and I get really nervous, and so I start missing like 12 footers. But I still consider my putting a strength because I know I can do it. I just have to get more experience, and that's what I'm working towards. So I'm still gonna say my putting is a strength. So earlier on, I would say my weakness was my driving and my distance. So when we started the YouTube, actually, I had a video idea where I was going to do field work for a whole month straight, every day, no matter the weather, even if it was a couple throws. That's what I was going to do. So I actually did it, but it never made a video out of it because it was so stressful and so terrible of a time. I actually didn't improve. I went backwards, and I was just so stressed out about it because I was working so hard. But I feel like it made me stronger because you're going to have these ups and downs, and it's not always going to be easy. But disc golf is something that I really love, and I'm going to work hard no matter what. And now I feel like since I stopped stressing about it so much, it just got better. I still struggle with my driving and accuracy, but I think it's a lot better than before.
Strongest part of my game, I think hitting gaps or hyzer flips. I think gaps probably, because that's what I learned how to play in Arkansas. I played a lot of woods courses there, everything was gaps, and I think it's easier to hit gaps on hyzer flips, so that's why I'm good at hyzer flips. Biggest weakness in my game probably was forehand. I've been decent at putting usually, but like throwing flicks recently has been a struggle, and I kind of revamped my form. It was a different motion, it wasn't very powerful and it hurt, but I put some time into relearning that, and learning how to do like touch forehands has been a struggle since then, and learning accuracy has been a struggle, but I've got a lot more power, so it's kind of reining that in, I guess, is what I've been working on lately. And it's just, as far as things to do working on, it's just practicing throwing more, committing to it. I think it's easy when you change something like that. It's easy to think, oh, I'll just go back to my old style for this tournament or this throw or something like that, but you really have to commit to it. You have to make yourself trust in the change that you're making.
So my biggest strength of my game, I would probably say Anheuser approaches, whether that's backhand, forehands, especially like patent pending. I think just from playing Ultimate a lot, I just get used to those like step out Annie or step left Annie. That I feel like is a pretty strong part of my game. When I see like an Anheuser approach, I'm like, ooh, I love it. I think my biggest weakness would be forehands off the tee for sure. My forehands are just so messy. I turn them over all the time when I try to power them up. Approaches, they're fine, but just off the tee, trying to get off clean with like a step up. So, and I actually like just recently started watching some of Overthrow stuff on forehands, so just trying to work on that. I should probably go out to a field to work on it, but sometimes I'm a little too lazy. Yeah, just like slowly working on it during my casual rounds or practice rounds, or if I ever do go out into a field, practicing at those, maybe filming, you know, just all the advice people give and you never really want to take to do. I should probably do that.
Biggest strength, it's definitely mental in some ways. Shot shaping, versatile on both sides. That's kind of like knowing these shots work and being able to execute. It's tough. Is it the versatility or is it the mental scramble master? And like if the shot's there, generally I can, if a hole calls for a shot, I can generally throw that shot. And I don't have to pick, like, oh, it's really a forehand, like a flex forehand, but that kind of sucks in my game, so I'll throw this backhand instead. So putting is the biggest weakness, but everyone thinks they're a unique case, right? Like, oh, my struggles are harder than most people's, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm trying harder than everybody else. I think I can accurately say that I've legitimately tried harder than anybody else to fix their putt. I really do think so. And I think that was part of the problem in the beginning, was like when my putt started breaking, I can like go back to the point where it broke and then know that I completely took the wrong measures to get it back. Like I have walked people off of that cliff that I'm teetering on. Thing that I would encourage people to do, and this isn't the question you asked, I'm so bad at this, but as a coach, I would tell people, chill out. You didn't forget how to putt. Take 2 weeks off of putting and then come back, and whatever weird habit you picked up will probably be gone, and then we'll get back into some kind of basic things. Your tempo is probably off. You're probably just rushing. Calm down, breathe, make sure you're not death gripping your putter. You're probably getting tight, something like that. And so I remind myself of those things too, now that I'm building it back up. And there are moments for sure where it's like, okay, putt's here, it's doing well, but there are a lot of times where it's like really not there. And it's mostly in the pressure situations where my body wants to tighten up and wants to control it, that it's at its worst, that it's at its weakest. If I could go back in time and talk to Josh from then, like, dude, you're a great putter. Just take 2 weeks off and let whatever this weird thing is that entered your system work its way out. But then I didn't do that. I said, I'm going to do 500, I'm going to make 500 putts a day, and I just ingrained whatever those bad things were. Ultimately, you're just putting the disc in the basket. I could take any object, take this remote from 15 or 20 feet and throw it at the basket and put it in. And I have no idea the stability of this remote or how many revolutions I need to get on it to stay in the air. But since there's like this mental attachment to a disc, and there's this understanding of the mechanics of it, and it was always like when it broke, it's like, oh, I missed left. What did I do mechanically that missed it left? Or you could just be like, why don't you aim right on the next one and trust the feel of a putt. So I'm like in this weird stage where I've built some weird habits into my putt that I think really do hurt it, like some weird mechanics, but also finding something that feels good and knowing that it's going to take time in reps to get it back to where it was. Or, you know, wherever it's going to end up, not even back to where it was necessarily. And trusting that in time, I'm going to knock down some sick putts. That was way longer than everybody else's was.
I'm super grateful to each and every one of those creators to be willing to have the vulnerability to share the fact that they aren't the overall perfect player. So whether you struggle with distance, shot selection, putting, or a variety of things, know that you're not alone in that. And the fact that you even have a weakness actually means that there's so much more potential for you to get out there and play some amazing golf. I mean, sure, it might be fun to like make all of your putts 70 feet and in, but like eventually that has to get boring, right? It probably doesn't. If you want to see how the actual events at the Creators Cup went, there's going to be links in the description below for you to check out. As always, I want to say thank you so much for watching and for your continued support. You truly are the people that make this channel happen. So I hope you have an amazing rest of the week. But for now, I'm going to leave you with the birdie.